This video was made in partnership with Newbie, who are just as obsessed with movies as we are. Jeez, where's Doc Brown and a chalkboard when you need them?
Imagine that this line represents time. Here's the present, 1985, the future, and the past.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we'll be explaining the Terminator timeline.
Yes! Yeah! Piece cake!
For this video, we're taking a look at all the theatrically released Terminator films, as well as the live-action TV series, in order to make sense of the franchise's timeline. We'll be excluding any comics, video games, or theme park attractions because then we'd be here until the end of time. That being said, a spoiler alert is now in effect.
Look, it may take a while. You want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
This legendary sci-fi story begins in 1984 with a young waitress named Sarah Connor. Sarah may not realize it yet, but she's destined to bring humanity's future savior into the world. On August 29, 1997 at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, a computer system known as Skynet will develop self-awareness. This automated defense network subsequently launches a nuclear missile strike on Russia, commencing Judgment Day. From the ashes of this nuclear holocaust, AI killing machines known as Terminators rise up to destroy the rest of humanity. The soldier leading the resistance against Skynet and the Terminators is none other than John Connor, Sarah's son. To prevent John from ever being born, Skynet sends a T-800 Terminator model from the year 2029 back in time to assassinate Sarah in 1984.
Why me? Why does it want me?
The Resistance sends a soldier named Kyle Reese back to the same time period to protect Sarah.
Come with me if you want to live.
While escaping the clutches of the killer robot, Kyle and Sarah fall in love, but their time together is short-lived as Kyle is killed in an effort to blow up the T-800. However, it's Sarah who eventually finishes the machine off, crushing it in a hydraulic press. As it turns out, Kyle is John's father, leaving a pregnant Sarah to give birth to their son with a storm on the horizon. On the one hand, you could argue that this creates a time travel paradox.
I don't understand.
After all, how could John exist in the future if Kyle hadn't been sent back in time to impregnate Sarah yet? On top of that, would John Connor have ceased to exist if Skynet never sent a Terminator back in time? Is it possible that someone else was initially John Connor's father, but the timeline was changed by Kyle? Alas, these questions are all minor nitpicks compared to the gaping plot holes found in some of the future Terminator movies.
He said there's a storm coming in.
I know.
In Terminator 2, the story picks up in 1995, with Judgment Day only 2 years away.
Come with me if you want to live.
John Connor is now a teenager and has been separated from his mother, who's in a mental hospital. Skynet has sent a liquid metal Terminator called the T-1000 from the year 2029 to kill John. Instead of sending another human soldier to protect John, the Resistance enlists a reprogrammed T-800.
Get down.
Upon successfully escaping the hospital and reuniting with John, Sarah learns that the one responsible for creating Skynet is a Cyberdyne systems engineer named Miles Dyson.
I want to know everything. What he looks like, where he lives, everything.
Following the events of the first film, Cyberdyne discovered the T-800 Terminator's damaged arm and CPU, which they've been trying to reverse engineer. Successfully doing so would result in the creation of a neural net processor that'll evolve into Skynet. So, would Skynet even exist if it hadn't sent that first Terminator back to kill Sarah? Again, this might be a paradox, but otherwise the film's continuity is strong.
Trust me.
Once Dyson is made aware of the future, he agrees that the arm, the CPU, and his lab must be destroyed. Although Cyberdyne's headquarters gets blown up, Dyson is killed in the process. After the T-1000, the CPU, and the arm are destroyed, all that's left to demolish is the T-800 to ensure humanity's future. The T-800 must be lowered into a vat of molten steel to destroy its own chip, leading to a tear-jerking farewell.
I know now why you cry. But it's something I can never do.
With Judgment Day prevented, this is naturally where our story ends, right? Not in Hollywood. Not only does the franchise continue, it branches off into multiple timelines.
I need a vacation.
The TV series Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles exists in an alternate timeline separate from the movies. Taking place in 1999, 4 years after the events of T2, another Terminator is sent back to assassinate John. Meanwhile, the Connors encounter Cameron, a reprogrammed Terminator sent back from 2029 who's sworn to protect them.
I was sent here to protect John.
Not now. Not yet.
The Connors also learn that Judgment Day wasn't prevented altogether, but merely delayed until April 21st, 2011. Along with Cameron, the Connors travel to the far-off year of, 2007 to stop humanity's impending doom. Even if they are successful in stopping Judgment Day, Sarah's days are seemingly numbered since she soon discovers she will die of leukemia in 2005.
I don't know anything anymore.
Like the Sarah Connor Chronicles, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines also takes place a few years after the events of the second film. In this timeline, Sarah Connor has died of leukemia in 1997, the same year Judgment Day was supposed to take place. Although the world seems to be at peace, a now grown-up John remains paranoid that Skynet will return.
I should feel safe, but I don't.
John is right to be worried, as Cyber Research Systems has picked up where Cyberdyne left off on Skynet. To make matters worse, TX, a new female Terminator, is sent back on July 24, 2004 to take out John and other future Resistance fighters. As you probably guessed, the Resistance sends back their own reprogrammed Terminator to ensure John's survival. Ironically, it is this very same Terminator that kills John on July 4, 2032, prompting his wife Kate to reprogram it and send it back to protect him.
What? What are you saying?
I killed you.
John ultimately finds that Judgment Day can't be prevented, as Skynet then launches missiles on July 25, 2004 at 6:18 p.m. Eastern Time, in turn signaling the beginning of both Judgment Day and the end for humanity. John and Kate seek refuge in a fallout shelter as the nuclear war unfolds, preparing countermeasures to face the machines.
This is John Connor at Crystal Peak.
Connor? What the hell is happening? Who's in charge there?
I am.
The fourth film, Terminator Salvation, takes place 14 years later in the year 2018, where John is still leading the Resistance. Skynet has taken a special interest in a young Kyle Reese, realizing that he'll become John's father one day. There's also Marcus Wright, a mysterious former death row inmate who was turned into a human Terminator hybrid after giving up his body to science in 2003. None of this really matters, however, because the filmmakers decided to retcon everything with the next film, Terminator Genesis. This is where things get really confusing.
Are we on the same page?
Yeah.
Everything seems to be moving as planned in 2029 as John prepares to send Kyle back to 1984. When Kyle arrives, though, Sarah is familiar with Skynet and has teamed up with a reprogrammed T-800 who's already destroyed the original Terminator from the 1984 film.
I've been waiting for you.
The timeline has been altered, and Skynet already sent a T-1000 to 1973 to kill a 9-year-old Sarah. She was saved by the reprogrammed T-800, and together they've been making preparations for Judgment Day. With all of these changes, Kyle deduces that Judgment Day will no longer occur in 1997, but rather 2017. Our heroes thus leap ahead in time where they must stop Skynet, or Genesis as it's now being called.
You can kill Skynet before it's born. Skynet is Genesis.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Of course, none of that matters either because Terminator Dark Fate hits the reboot switch yet again.
Talk fast.
The sixth Terminator film is actually the third chapter in this timeline, ignoring Rise of the Machines, Salvation, and Genesis. Keeping only the first two films canon, Dark Fate takes place 27 years after the events of the second film in the 2020s. Skynet has sent a liquid metal Terminator back in time to eradicate a cyborg human. This brings Sarah Connor out of retirement, along with an aged T-800 named Carl and an adult John Connor. Are we heading into the darkest timeline, or will this be the film that finally gets the timeline back on track? Whatever awaits, there's no fate but what we make for ourselves.
There's no fate but what we make for ourselves.
She intends to change the future.
Yeah, I guess.
This video was made in partnership with Newbie, who are just as obsessed with movies as we are.